Hello everyone, I'm Sophie and I'm currently at Kechara Forest Retreat, Bentong, Malaysia. This is the book that I'll be reading from, Unleashing Buddhanature. Personal accounts of, those touched and reformed through the teachings of His Eminence, the 25th Sam Tuku Rinpoche. So these are the stories, individual stories of all those people that are with their personal accounts of how they met Rinpoche or how Rinpoche's teachings has actually transformed them from what they were into what they are now. So today I'll be reading about Ruby in the Rough, about Datuk Ruby Kong. She was the ex-president of Kechara Soup Kitchen. So let me share a picture with you. There you go. Ruby in the Rough, Datuk Ruby Kong. This is a short write-up of her. Datuk Ruby Kong went from fine dining with society's upper crust to feeding the hungry and destitute on the streets of Kuala Lumpur. She attributes her drastic change to His Eminence the 25th Sam Rinpoche, who taught her that she can be more than just a socialite. And here's her account. Rinpoche and I met during a pilgrimage to India in 1994. One could tell that I was no seasoned pilgrim by my outfit, Chanel from head to toe. I was more used to throwing exquisite dinner parties and waving my platinum American Express card at delighted sales assistants. Rinpoche, on the other hand, was clad in a simple maroon monk robe. He was a reincarnated Lama who delayed his ascension into nirvana so that he could spend each rebirth in benefit of others. We hit it off right away. A delayed flight during the trip gave me the opportunity to chat with Rinpoche for the first time. Soon enough, we were laughing like old buddies. Our sense of humor was in sync, even though our appearances and lifestyles weren't. I had not expected to find a kindred spirit during a trip that I joined to escape my repetitive socialite lifestyle. But I didn't just find a kindred spirit. I found the door to a new life. It was on the fifth or sixth day of the pilgrimage when I finally decided to ask Rinpoche for a private conversation. I poured out the frustration that was bubbling within me. Mine was a life to be envious of. I did not need to toil for a salary, and my children and I had everything we ever wanted or needed. My husband made sure of that. But even though my wardrobe and jewelry drawer were full, my heart was empty. I had no idea why. It was like carrying a black hole within, sucking away the enjoyment of shopping and parties, which my life seemed to be full of. Waking up in the morning felt meaningless. Rinpoche listened to my vents. He then said that if human beings are only born to make money, get married, have children, and raise them so that they can go through the same process again, then how are we different from animals? Animals hunt for food, mate, and take care of their young ones as well. No, Rinpoche said, humans can do much more than that. Thinking back, it was not the most complex or mind-blowing sentiment, but at that time, I needed a simple message that I could process, and Rinpoche's words struck a deep chord within me that I began to rethink how I could do much more. I became interested in pursuing spirituality. This is one of the abilities of Rinpoche. He is able to tailor his words according to an individual's level of understanding and acceptance. If Rinpoche had told me that spirituality required me to give up all my riches, I would have strutted off in my Jimmy Choos. I liked my designer clothing and fine dining. Rinpoche, however, knew better. He told me that spirituality is not necessarily about shaving my head, donating all my money away, and running into the mountains to meditate. I have responsibilities to my children and my husband. If I were to do something so drastic, not only would my family and I be miserable, other people seeing my actions would also be turned off by the selfishness that a spiritual path seems to require. In the end, it would be a no-win situation. Spirituality, he explained, is actually a transformation of the mind. Knowing that I was a hot-tempered person who insisted on doing things my way, Rinpoche advised me to keep my outbursts in check when I returned to Malaysia after the pilgrimage. If I had the tendency to get angry 10 times a day, I was to start calming myself down 1 time out of 10. The next day, I was to lower the anger count to 8 times, and so on. He said that as time goes by, people around me will observe my transformation into a mellower person who is more receptive to alternate views. They may be inspired to explore spirituality as well. The idea that I could inspire others without sacrificing the lifestyle I was used to intrigued me. When I returned home, I tried putting it into practice. People were surprised that I began to listen to what they had to say without flaring up. But the happiest of all were my children. They no longer had to tiptoe around mummy. The first step does not always have to be the hardest. Rinpoche simplified my entry into a spiritual journey. It took about another 2 decades of Dharma studies to help me become receptive to the idea of letting go of my material comforts. These days, when Rinpoche advises me to shop less, I find myself nodding in agreement. My spiritual progress is slower than others because I often stumble over my huge ego. I like to maintain faith. Rinpoche knows this and he does not rush me through my baby steps. Instead, he remains skillful in easing me into taking up the next level. For example, I resisted being in charge of projects. I did not want the limelight on me if things goes belly up. Imagine the embarrassment. Hence, when Rinpoche asked me to become the next president of Kachara Soup Kitchen in 2008, I immediately said no. He, however, was persistent in urging me to give it a go. We ended up locked in a 4-hour debate. I was that desperate to get out of the position. I should have saved my breath. Rinpoche managed to persuade me to try it for just a few weeks. If I really dislike it, he said, I could just walk away. There was no contract. With that in mind, I decided to give it a shot. I spent 8 years as the president of Kachara Soup Kitchen. Rinpoche probably knew that I was the type who would see a job through. The challenge was to get me to accept the responsibility in the first place. So skillful as a guru was, he kept the exit unlocked so that I was always secure in the knowledge that I could back out anytime I wanted to. It was ironic that a possible escape was what kept me rooted in my position. More importantly, I discovered that I could be accountable for a project, even one that was not my forte. Before meeting Rinpoche, I performed charity through a check in an envelope. Kachara Soup Kitchen required me to seek out the city's hungriest and hand them meals during weekends, when I would usually be sipping vintage wines and carving into a steak. So when Rinpoche called me up in 2012 and asked me to lead the design and construction of Manjusri Hill at Kachara Forest Retreat, I should have given him the thumbs up, right? No. Despite my experience with Kachara Soup Kitchen, I was hesitant to take up another hefty project. Manjusri Hill was supposed to be a 5,000 square foot site housing the administrative offices of KFR, which is Kachara Forest Retreat. How could I, who had no experience in construction, besides renovating my own home, lead contractors and designers to build such a crucial part of the retreat center? What if something went wrong? I did not want to take responsibility for any mishaps. Another debate ensued. Rinpoche explained that I was the right person for the job, as I am meticulous. I finally agreed to take up the project, thinking that I would have to pick my way through the debris and dust of a construction zone for the next 6 months. It turned out that I only had 8 weeks. I almost died of a heart attack. How was I supposed to find the right contractors and designers in such a short time? I scrambled to start work. For the next eight weeks, I selected, briefed, and oversaw men in yellow helmets while learning on the job. I laid the cards on the table right from the beginning about my lack of experience in construction. We were building a holy place, I told them, and I trusted them. That seemed to work. My contractors were forthright with me about what needed to be done to perch a building on top of a hill. The best part of it all? We made the deadline. I was the happiest of them all. The 8 weeks of living in tents without electricity and hot showers while being a canteen for mosquitoes had finally come to an end. Feeling rather proud of myself for having survived the ordeal, I decided to reward myself with a posh holiday. Right, I will stop there now. And as you can see, how Rinpoche usually pushes us beyond our own limit of what we thought that we can or cannot do. And so as what Dato Ruby has found out, that she can actually manage. And also, one thing to keep in mind is that Rinpoche always knows that we are able to accomplish the task that he sets us on. Otherwise, he would not actually give it to us. So that was Dato Ruby, and just join me for the next part of her story in my next session. So for now, I will end this with a completion dedication in English. May the precious body mind, where it is not born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. May the precious emptiness, where it is not born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. May this merit accumulated by myself and others beneficially serve all sentient beings and the Buddha Dhamma, and especially may the essential teachings of the unerring Master Tsongkhapa become clear and enduring. In all my rebirths, may I not be parted from perfect gurus. Let me enjoy the abundance of the Dhamma. Perfecting the quality, stages, and paths, may I quickly attain the rank of Vajradhara Buddha. By this virtue, may I quickly realize Guru Buddhahood and transfer each sentient being into that enlightened state. May all conducive conditions arise and all obstacles be pacified in order to increase infinitely the doctrine of the spiritual king Tsongkhapa. By the merits of the 3 times of myself and others, may the doctrine of Lama Tsongkhapa blaze forever. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the 3 jewels grant us their blessing. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the paths of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. May the holy teachers have long lives. May the enlightened activities be fully displayed in the 10 directions. And may the brightness of the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa continuously dissipate the veil of darkness, covering the beings of the 3 realms. In this land encircled by snow mountains, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig remain in this life until samsara's end. Whom grant me here and now appropriate attainments without exception. Grant increase of the entourage, teachings, and wealth, O mighty Shukden. So thank you for joining me, and please do join me for my next session, where you'll find out more of what Dato Ruby has achieved. Thank you.